We're obviously in turbulent times right now, the war, and Rabbanim are saying a lot of things. Someone came up to me a few weeks ago in the street and said, it's all about Shabbos, right? But we start keeping Shabbos right, then, okay. I said, okay. And like a few minutes later, another guy comes in the street and said, it's all about Lashon Hara, right? And I'm like, hey, everybody, like, as I was going home, everyone says it's all about different things. So it got me wondering, like, it's confusing. Right? And the Mishle, in fact, which talks about right before Mashiach comes, brings 19 different uh, attributes that will exist. There'll be a lot of chutzpah. Wine will be very expensive. We got a gift of wine, it'll be empty. It might sound like really like this wine. He wants to come for Shabbos again with his wife. I went to the store and I saw the price. I'm like, oh my gosh, but the Mishnah says that wine will be expensive. That's one of the 19 attributes when Mashiach comes. And Rashi says there'll be tons of grapes and wine, but people will just either they'll be so tense you need to drink wine, or they'll just be very what's the right word? Wine oriented. They'll be very party oriented. Let's say that way. I said, oh, so there's 19 attributes before Mashiach comes, which is the last mission in Sota. But then it says the last one is an emes nederes. It'll be hidden, and nobody will know exactly what to do. And I bet if you go around and take a survey, like, what should we be doing now? Does anybody know? Like, nobody really knows. Yeah. Right, and everyone says something else. Supposed to daven Shmuel, and Shabbos says Torah Gemil Sadim, and then Shabbos. It's all about that. And got me thinking also is that when we had like we had great Jews like Rav Yashiv and Rav Avad Yosef, who lives right around the corner here in Harnov, right? Rav Avad Yosef would say something, and basically almost all of Sephardi Jewry would accept it. Rav Yashiv would say something, basically all of Ashkenazi Jewry would accept something. Today, there's very few people like that, if there's anybody, and it makes it more difficult. And I think you can shed a little bit of light on that today, this year today. I hope. It's like just another thing to do, right? But I'm really not coming so much to tell you what to do, but just why it's so confusing. I mean, you know what I hope you're supposed to do? You're supposed to clean your heart out of. We spoke about that even before the war started. So let's go to, let's see, we're in Perek Tezvav. Perek Tezvav, Pasuk Yud Tes. In this edition, it's called Samach Tes, but this is old. It's an old edition. Might be later. Perek Tezvav, 15, Pasuk 19. Right? Yeah. Okay. So the pasuk says like this. It's a famous pasuk. Mishle Sharm quotes it. Derek Hutzel, the way of somebody lazy, Kimusheches Herik. Right? Kimusheches Herik. Herik is like a what? Headache? You're right. I'm sorry. Get no prescription here. Okay. Headache. Headache is like chaydakim, right? It's like a I think here it means like wheat germs, right? But also like right. Chotzim, we'll see. Or barkanim. It's like a very dangerous, very thorny place. Okay. And that's what the Talmud Melech is going to tell us, that if a lazy person, my Rebbe, Rav Zalman Chaim Gober, once told me, he said, it's worth it to spend a lot of time getting things clear, because then you save a lot of time afterwards, not being confused, right? So, but the Otzel thinks he's like saving a lot of time, he's doing everything very, making it much easier, but really in the end, it'll be much more complicated. They say the derek tzarish arucha. Sometimes you take these shortcuts, and you wind up like who knows where. So that's derek latzel k'misheches hedek, but orach yisharim slula. But the path of the people who are yasher It's salul. It's clear. It's obstacle free. What's that? It's not just paved, but it's it's glass. It's clear. It's going to say more than that. So let's look what the Gra says here. I think this is a little bit of a light on our avoda right now. Not something specific, but something general. So it's not like this. Derek, what's the difference? We came across this before. 56. One second. It's dark. I don't really see anything here. Well, it means base ches, right? So the Gra refers us back to base ches. The Gra says, what's the difference between a deret and between an orach? Right? A derech and an orach. So the Gra says the derech is wide. It's a wide highway. Like Kanfei Yisharim before they put in all these train things. So it was really wide, right? The article orach dochav cut and small path. Kmosh Ksavti, or Kmosh Kasa Mashal. Hegil Parshas Drochem, Kmosh Kasa Lokaman. Okay, so what's the difference between a wide path and a thin path? It doesn't seem like it's so much of a difference. Okay, okay, that's right. Have some or hatera. So what's the difference between a wide path and a thin path? So the shtei drachim says the Gra. Echad tchila rakava, v'akach otzim rakan. The path of the Otzel is something really wide and easy and smooth, but as you go along that path, it's more and more filled with thorns and bristles. The second one is in the beginning very narrow, but as you go along, it's going to become slower. Because derech kolomar haderech harchava shel Otzel u'achakach pshechas chedek malikos merkano. The path that looks really easy at the beginning and as of the Otzel, it's much easier if you follow in the ways of the Otzel. Sorry. But it really says the God, it's not so easy. Because you're going to see as you go along, try to save some time. You cut out this and you cut out this and you cut out this. But those are really important steps. And then you just have to do the whole thing over again. It becomes more complicated. On the other hand, if you painstakingly follow every single step and do it properly, then in the end it'll be much, much smoother. Right. That's what he says. Ora Yisharim, Kolomar, Hayisharim Shaholkin Tefila B'derech Adzukuka B'Sara, Ksara Nefesh, Aval Ksara Barucha, She'at Gagti Der Tzlor. So I think that's a really important point over here. Right? And the Gra says it, we said it before, you see Chazal, the pasuk guy talking about Oracle Tzadikim. The Oracle is like a small path which is not so well trodden, and each and every one of us has our own way of life, our own Orach, which we have to find. And I really believe this is what Chazal meant when they said Emes De'aderes. And one of the pshatim actually in Emes De'aderes is Adarim, which means an Eder is really a herd. So there'll be small groups of people getting together, like Mishle Shir or something like that, or Avad, or small groups. People who get together who really share maybe the same perspective, and they could, as it were, plan out and implement their own perspective based on not large groups of people. Because everyone has their own orach, right? The derech is like the general way that the population goes, not something which is specific. But each and every person has their own urach, their own special path that they are meant to follow. Right? We're going to see a little bit later, there's a famous Gra that talks about you're either on the path going up or the path going down. And really, the path which you're meant to follow. Someone just wrote to me an email last week. He asked me about this pasuk, right? And it's one of my favorite psukim Mishle. It's coming up in a little bit. It says what's it called? Uh, it's your own path, right? When the Gemara talks about a path, he says your path, right? Your own special oirach that's connected to you, right? And that's really what we're meant to be doing now, to find that special path, each and every person, right? And that's because to bring the geula, each person has a chelik. Each person has a special job to do, right? As Moshe Shapiro once told me, he said, Levi das maras nafsho. You know yourself. Who knows themselves what they really have to work on. And it's true. We all have to work on Av Yisrael because that's what the Gemara says. That's why we're in Gullus, because of Sin China. It's true. But in essence, everyone has a special job to be doing. And that's the Urach. Right? Sometimes that's really hard. I was talking to a young man on the phone this morning, trying to convince him maybe we should get married. And he was telling me this and this and this. It's a lot of back and forth. And in the end, he just said, it's too hard for me right now. I'm just not up to it. So that's the real, I didn't tell him this. And at the end, he told me a reason, which I accepted. But the point is that the Gemara says that really, if you hit on that aura, it's going to be hard. Right? It's impossible you got to that point and it's not hard. If it is, then it's not the aura. If it goes really smoothly, that's probably the derech. If you hit that point, which is your aura, then it's going to be, at least in the beginning, it's going to be difficult. I don't know if I told you this message. I think I probably said it many times before. But it's in this week's podcast, so I'll repeat it again. You have to look at its size. It's amazing medrash. I think it's the most incredible medrash in the whole medrash Rabbah. It's in Parak Nunvav, Pasuk Dal in Medrash Rabbah. It says that when Avram was going to the Kedah, the son came, tried to stop him. He said, like, Abram, you're crazy, waited 100 years for a son. You think you're hearing voices, like maybe you should go to a psychiatrist or something. God said to kill your son, like crazy. He says, why not? So son saw it's not going to work with Abram. So he comes to get son. He says, like, bothers me. Sorry, I'm playing. So finally the son makes one last ditch attempt. And he says, Yitzchak, if you die, all your parzakios will go to Ishmael. And the Midrash says he stopped, and this parzakios. So the pshat I always say, which is the pshat of the Anaf Yosef, it brings from Rashi and others, is it means toys or tchotchkes. All these tchotchkes. Sarah made a little blanket when he was a little boy, a teddy bear. My 4-year-old grandson was by his Shabbos, and my son-in-law told me that he asked him this Yom Kippur, like, do I need to do kaparas my teddy bear? I said, well, if you do kaparas for your teddy bear, then you might have to do Max Shekel also. So, and then you have to do it next year. Okay, anyway, little teddy bear. So the son told Yitzhak, the teddy bear that Sarah made for you, if you get killed, that's going to go to Yishmael. It says like Yitzhak clamped up. Who's going to stop? I don't understand. Nothing works, but that works. So my Rashiva, Moshe Meisman, always says, the toys like really get us. Like the things we grew up with. I have an example. It's a little bit embarrassing also, really. Right? When I was younger, I used to roller skate. So Rosh Kol decided, I'll keep my roller skates. I'll use my costumes, dance around roller skates. Makes people laugh. When I get home, like my roller skates are gone. Like what happened? Wife called up Rosie Auerbach and she said, is it proper for a Rosh Kolel to have roller skates? I said, definitely not. So in the garbage. I get home, like at least I could search through the garbage. They're gone, like, when I was 10, like I used to deliver newspapers. So those are the toys. Those are like hard things. Right? That's really like the interface of your avoda, those things to give them up. I once asked one of the Gedolim about music, because those of us who grew up with music, who are exposed maybe to secular music, it's hard. Like go on a bus and you hear it, just like overly resonates. And this girl told me, I have the same problem. I have the same problem. So these are the toys. These are the things that's really, really hard. But the girl is telling you, if it's really, really hard, that means you should do it. Right? It doesn't mean, oh, it's too hard. Just forget about it. Move on. It's true. There are some things, and that's what I agreed in the end. This particular young man, because having certain issues now was really hard. Maybe it wasn't the right time to push himself. But we should look at the fact, and that's the urech. If it's the urech, it's in the beginning difficult, but then it gets smoother, right? And the things which look really, really easy, those aren't really worth following. And those are the things we really have to be pursuing now. Now the Chavetz Chaim says that Mashiach is Yomim She'ein Be'em Chitz. We don't really want Mashiach now. We want Mashiach now. We don't want Mashiach now. Because wherever you are, that's finished. You're finished for life. You will never go any higher with that because there won't be any more avoda. There will be no more free choice. I'm not sure exactly how long that's going to take, but probably it's coming soon. What we're seeing now, everything is falling into place. Again, we have to be right for it. We have to be right for it. And it was really interesting because this attack happened on Simplest Torah, right? So the Haftarah said it's going to be Sukkot, but in Chutzlaretz it was Sukkot, right? Still, so also, again, everything has to do with Mashiach is very enigmatic, very puzzling. It is sukkahs, it's not sukkahs. Right? But we have to be right for it. But Hashem was like holding out the plate and saying, like, it's ready. And I have to tell you an amazing story I heard today. This will knock your socks off. That this woman who was freed. Maybe you'd heard the story already. She was freed. That the day before, her mother went to Rosh Hashanah, and she wasn't so religious, and she had tears, and then she said it like a long, long tefillah to get her daughter out, and the next day she got out, and I'm like, how could anyone have any something in a mood after that? One person out of 200 gets out, right? Yeah, and the tshuva that's happening now, and mass. Someone told me two of the people were killed in the music festival. They sat shiva in the parking lot because there were so many people, and they weren't from. And hundreds of people came, and they all were being, towards close of a tshuva. Right? Who knows how long this war is going to go on? But they've never seen anything like this because people are like, no matter how like solid leftist you are, and it's just we're coming off of all these demonstrations of what do they call that thing, Chok Sabir, and all this garbage, right? And then suddenly, like people are shaken up, and so we're so close, right, so close right now, and everyone's job, on one hand, is personal to collect, to become collective with the I heard on the radio that somebody got on and said a whole group of Haredim joined the army, a few thousand people, right? And I was very happy about this for two reasons, three reasons actually. One was I thought that it showed an equal of one. Number two, it said only those who are not learning, right? We understand that the people who are learning Torah, that's really what's protecting the country. So that should not be touched, right? People are not learning. Anyway, one guy said, I have to work now, so I should. Yeah, that I liked. Yeah. So, two things necessarily. But I heard like one guy was like, oh, everyone has a different opinion. And I think anything you're going to say, someone's going to agree with it, and someone's not going to agree with it. That's the Urich, right? Everybody's path is different. And what's right for one person, it could be a mitzvah gadol for one person, it could be a very gadol for someone else. A friend of mine who's married to Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach's granddaughter, Ram Dov's Auerbach's daughter, said there were signs up. Every Avrei should join Leiblach. Was it Leiblachim or Arachim? One of those groups. Anyway, it's about to sign up. I said, why don't I just ask my Rav Shlomo Zalman just to make sure? And he said, I didn't mean you. I didn't mean you. You're learning about Spanish. So it's a very important point is that everybody has their own special avoda and that nobody else can do that. And someone just told me this week a Gemara, is a Gemara in Tainus, I believe, that there was a certain Hatzalah that took place, and they were saying it's for this and this, this. That was because of like small acts which nobody would have figured out. Chaim Shlomo's famous story. The Mir yeshiva was bombed, and nobody was hurt. The bomb didn't go off or something. And everybody said it's because of the Torah. He said, no, no, there was one lady there who was an Iguna. And as the missile was falling, she said, I forgive my husband, this. And so that's why it happened. So every one of us has our own avoda, and that's the Torah. And we have to know it's hard. Right? So right now, if there's something really hard for you, which you think the past 20, 30, 40 years, like I should do it, now's the time to do it, really. Because it could be that's a tikkun. And Rosh Hashanah says, Hashem is waiting for one thing, and that's going to bring the gula, and you'll be called on the name of the person who does it. You know? So we all have to realize that it could be the one thing is our responsibility. And if we do that, then it will happen. Okay. So that's what the Gemara is saying here. I'm going to skip the next part because it's a little bit confusing, and I want to move on a little bit. Okay. So that's as far as Orach. Now, the next pasuk, it's also a famous pasuk. Ben Chacham Yismach Le. It's pasuk Chav. That's about pasuk Chav. Ben Chacham Yismach Le. So as a Ben who's a Chacham. Sorry, Av. Like Av. Really, I can't really say. I'm sorry, my prescription. Yes. Okay. Ben Chacham Yismach Av. Ben Chacham Yismach Av. Uksiel Adam Boz Imo. Someone's a Chacham. His father's going to be really happy. But someone's a Ksil, and Ksil we said is somebody impulsive. He's impulsive. So that person will disgrace his mother. So Chacham, father, what the mother doesn't want a Chacham and the father doesn't, what's the order over here? So the Gemara says something brilliant as usual. So like this. Ben Ukatni small. V'amar Eitzel Chacham Ben. Laros, Sha'av Bekatnusai Nismach Abed. Even if he's a young boy, Yeshira dedicated to his Kotoi's son. His first name again was Kotoi's son. What? Azi, right? Azi. And she told me, like, he's finished all of Mishnayos and he was always learning. He was a Ben Chacham, even though he wasn't so old. Right? And that's Misameach's father. So why father, though? Why not his mother? Right? This Kotoi has so much nachas, right? It's a base medrash because his mother's not in the base medrash. The father is going to be there, and he's going to get nachas. One of my talmidim made opinion about today, and I was just so blown away. He spoke 45, half an hour, which was a little bit too long to speak an opinion about. And he said this very intricate drasha, which I don't think anybody followed, maybe except for me. But I had so much nachas, this little guy who was 17, 18, now he's married, he my bed, Yossi Sher, become an Anubel in Israel. And it's such nachas when you see Talmidim grow up and to grow in Torah. Right? So the father was in the base medrash, he sees this, he's progressing and progressing and progressing. Right? But what about Exil? What about the opposite, the person who's not in base medrash, but he's impulsive and he's home? Apagad Lusoi, and he's called an Adam Rendi, right? Who bows the emo. Sha'omer Ma'olam, Oru Shazeh, Kidlo. So one reason is because his mother's going to get the flack. You gave birth to that guy is a loser. Or he shouldn't say that, obviously, but that's the way people talk. Oru Shazeh Yolda. They're going to curse the one who gave birth to him. I think that's one of the reasons we know where Rivka's buried, right? Because, Rivka's in Fail. So what they say, it doesn't say when she died, because she gave birth to Esav. Moshe Kasav, Layet, Biza, Dadin Minikasa. Okay. But Amar Khan, Boza Imo, Ulumala Amar, Tuga Imo, what's the difference between the two? Tuga and Boza. Ulumala Nera Ben Ksil. Shemoral Cotton, Yoshev Eitzel Imo, Yigona, and now tell me, he's causing her pain all the time. That's Tuga Imo. Kana Amar Adam, Shugadal Yoshev B'makam Acher. right? He's not by his mother necessarily. He's somewhere else, but word gets back to him. What did your son do? Say, oh, please don't tell me. Well, both the email, I've built your own, so that's one shot. Adam, for most Adam Russian, it's referring to the fact he's a Russian. Right? So again, the true heir of a child, the Chayyim writes. I saw a very interesting Chayyim this week when he goes brachas. Chayyim writes about one of the Gedolei Achronim. He says, "What can we do?" He was the guy on the door, but he didn't do business. I do business. It was about the bracha you make at orange peels. Orange peels. So the one of the Achronim says, "You make shackle. They're not eaten." Chacham says, "What do you mean? I do business. I see people trading orange peels by the thousands of liters. Okay, today people don't eat orange peels so much, but you see the Chai Adam. He was a big businessman, successful, and he wrote some of the most successful Sfarim in Klal Yisrael. The Chacham Adam, the Chai Adam. Rav Tzvi Weber and the Yaakov and others told me that could always be so much on Chacham Adam. And you're there, you have a shayla question, you're there. Just open it up. That's what he says. It can be like that, right? It was accepted in Klal Yisrael, and he was in business. And Chai Adam writes in his time, the desire to be Jewish mother and father to charge to be a Talmid Chacham. That's the biggest success. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have a pronounce and you shouldn't think, but the first desire was their son should be Talmid Chacham. The daughter should marry a Talmid Chacham. That was really that was the goal, right? And today, unfortunately, it's certainly Aksha door. It's certainly changed a lot, and it's certainly more desirable. People are very excited about marrying off their children, their daughters to Talmid Chachamim. It's true, and that should really be our true chukka for Torah, to have a son who's a Chacham. And aside from the fact that the greatness of Limud Torah, but pragmatically, you see, somebody who has a son who's impulsive and his midos and his actions and the Chol Hashem that comes from it, as opposed to a ben, a son who's a real Talmid Chacham and is real Baal Midos. Right? And we spoke last week about Chesed, that somebody who really understands Torah well could really do Chesed properly. And all of these things are reasons we should desire to have children who are Talmidei Chachamim. And really, that's what Chazal was saying, is that before Mashiach comes, we really need Torah. And Rosh Baruch Chai said, especially Sod, especially the part of Torah of Sod, because that's really going to give us the lights of the Gula is going to come through the Torah. I was reading, there's a very chashuv Rav here in the neighborhood, Alexander Mandelbaum, and he put out a sefer called Redemption Unfolding. In Hebrew, it's Masmeh B'Shua. You have to read that sefer because you see everything Chazal said is happening now. He just put out now, this week, the past couple weeks it came out, a follow-up to it. He said, it's so clear, everything Chazal is saying is unfolding. It's scary almost. And the Torah really guides us for everything we need. I use each time heal but why is the Torah like a tree? Because a tree gives you fruit, it gives you wood, it gives you paper, it gives you clothing, it gives you oxygen. Everything you need is in the Torah. Whatever you need, the Torah has answers for it. It gives you clarity, it gives you simcha, it gives you bracha, it gives you everything. And this really has to be our chukka, our tefillas, to really. And the Torah is really Texas. There's a rabbi here, Rabbi Schwimmer, who's a rebbe in Tifrach, and the army knows in Tifrach, the bombs fall all around the yeshiva, right? During the sirens, right now in my Heichel Torah, Tzvi Kozlowski, his entire yeshiva there. One of the yeshivas in the south moved there, right? Because the bombs fall all the time. Parents are not so happy, but Tifrach, they don't move. And the bombs do not come, in the vicinity of the yeshiva. They fall around it, they don't come. And it's so clear that the Torah is protecting them. The Zohar says that you're not allowed to rely on a miracle, but two people are sitting and learning Torah, they can rely on a miracle. Right? So Torah has incredible power, and it's really have to know this. one of my Abraham called me up right after Sukkot. He said, like, we have to start this man early now because Torah is really protecting us. Anyway, so it happened that particular break last week came in a few minutes late. I said, we're on the front line. Okay, right. But and it's true. One of my Abraham actually is on the front line. He's in the highest division, one of the highest divisions of the Israeli army. And it's a pachad. It's a pachad. All of these, all of these young men or women were being sent into Gaza to fight, and their lives are on the line. And really, the people who are learning Torah should realize that it's in their hands, and the Torah really could save lives. And Torah, tefillah, we have to really, and the truth is, really, both sides have to appreciate it. Chaim Shmulevitz said during, I think it was the Six-Day War, there's War of Independence, he didn't sleep on a bed, he slept on the floor. He said, how can you sleep in a bed when, people are fighting and their lives are at risk? And you have an enemy, like, who doesn't care about killing themselves. Like, they'll get rid of 10,000 Palestinians to kill one Jew. And they make a party afterwards to give them candies. Like, such an enemy. Like, how can such an enemy? My father told me last night from a British, someone high in the British Army named Kemp. He said, there's never been a war like this before in the history of the world, where they don't care. They were told, Israel told them to evacuate this place. They didn't let them out, because they want, that's their best weapon, is just to kill as many civilians as possible, and then people will stop Israel from attacking and force, and they'll get, billions of dollars of aid for Palestinians. So the idea is that we know you are not going to be on the Pacific, and you're not just not have a bomb. They can that. Right. That's why their main office is in the hospital. In the hospital in Mass. Right. And they even claimed that Israel bombed the hospital when it was their own bomb. Right. So in any event, the everybody, like every single person now, right? As Bakar Zul Auerbach, and I asked him, like, how should we be davening for these hostages? And just started crying. I said, it's adopt like your children, you know? And just can imagine what it must be like for them, or for the soldiers in Gaza, like, and for the parents of the soldiers. Just really, this is such an opportunity for Ichud Am. And really, it starts over here. It starts in our hearts to feel for the more Jews. Just told this to someone today. Shimon Shkop was considered to be like the greatest Talmudic mind, say, past 150 years. One of them. Yeah. His incredible depth of Torah. Writes in the introduction to his Sefer. He asks the question, what's a gadol? Who's a gadol? How do you do this? He says, you have to make as many people as possible. You can't love someone else like yourself. But if they're you, right? So your you expands from yourself, your wife, your children, your family, your neighbors, your community, world, all applies to. This is really what our job is right now. Okay, again, somebody else, chalk it up, number 25. But it's so clear, and it like pains me. I know other people also. Again, I'm not judging anyone. Chas v'shalom, spoke last week about judging. But really, I'm just talking to myself. When people are davening chakras, like, we should be sobbing tears, that this is what the people are suffering so much, Um, and it really, and that's what's going to bring the Gula. Because we said so many times. It says, Asin English is Shanti V'Socham, it doesn't say V'Socham, V'Socham. Hashem Shechina is shar in the lake. Like, the more actus there is in the hearts of the Jewish people, the more makkah there is, the more place there is for the Shekhinah to rest. And like, just bringing Jewish hearts together through saras like this. And this is, I don't think we've ever had, I don't remember ever in the history of Klal Yisrael. I remember these three kids were kidnapped, and but this hundreds of people, and then the soldiers, hundreds of thousands of people whose lives are in danger, and then people in the south and the north. I just met someone at the coastal today that he sent a mission to OU. Sderot, they're being bombed and questions coming all the time, and just everybody's suffering. Mishle, it's more quiet. So, yeah, they lost their homes.
Right, I would say that, and not so that before the time, the menu will.
That's one of the 19 attributes. Boredom. Yeah,
And
right. That's one of the 19 attributes of that. Right. So you look in the Mishnah, that's right, one of the 19. Right. That's one of the 19. And it's happening in front of our eyes. Um, and look, Iran is getting involved in this. And then around the world, Baruch Hashem,
then, it's part of the narrative.
and in American universities, what's going on? The anti-Semitism, people coming pro-Palestinian, this like all over the world. Now, someone told me in Australia they were demonstrating saying gas the Jews, kill them. Such anti-Semitism. We're all sides. And this is exactly what the Zal say. We can't rely on America on this. And then the fence between Israel and Gaza cost 60 billion shekels. What's that? Right now, the dollar's high, it's $15 billion. And they're just like, they just kind of walk through. So it's really, really clear right now. You can only rely on Hashem. And just to sum up here, each and every one of us has our special path that we should look for and find. Right? And the general path, though, the general for all of Klal Yisrael, is Ichud Ha'am. Whatever. There's a soldier outside our base measures today because we have a gun nearby. I know what I say, want some coffee, go and help, can you do something? Just to relate to people, Somebody called me up yesterday, they wanted to commit suicide. People have so much anxiety, they have so much difficulty, they have so much pain, And if it's not because of they lost someone in their family or someone in the family is in danger or they're suffering psychologically, there's so many things going on. And we really have to feel every single Jew. This is their life right now. This is what Hashem wants from us. Right? And the more we do that, and especially in our tefillos, when you're davening Shemona Esrei, you're literally in the Olam Atzilus, which means since you want to go Baruch, there's nothing else exists in the world. You are saying the words of Shemona Esrei, Shemona Hashem. If you get to the Shemona Esrei, you can ask Hashem for whatever you want. So the first thing after we finish Shemona Esrei, you have to say, Hashem, please free these, please release these hostages and please protect all of the soldiers and all the people in dangerous areas and give physics to the Talmud of Kohen we're learning and and bind the Jewish people. There's so many things that we have to daven for. And the beautiful things that you see it happen. You see it happening in front of our eyes, and you see that people are uniting, and you see it's happening, you see it's coming together. And each and every one of us all have a special earth, and each one can do a special, special thing. And no one should think that their part is too small. No one should think that they're insignificant. Ramchal, right? He says, everybody, you have no idea how much mind they're looking at, and your avoda, and the difficulty of what you have to do. Nothing should be too small. Okay? So we have to work it out for us. I'm going to stop here. But it's really it. It's all about feeling Klal. So it's really, really what it really what it boils down to. And everything they're saying is true. But Shabbos is about feeling for Klal Yisrael. Everything. Just connect yourself to Klal Yisrael. And not think, oh, well, Yerushalayim, it's quiet and it's safe. What Chaim said, Yerushalayim is the safest place, but there are going to be, could potentially be very, very big nisyonos. We have to be ready, and we have to be working on Amunah, ready for it, to strengthen ourselves. And the more we're shaykh to the Am, the more protection we're going to have. More protection. Rav Safrani 2 weeks ago. It's the yard site of Rav Ovadia Yosef. So that was Rav Ovadia Yosef's godless. He was 86 years old, and he got a helicopter to go to Eilat to speak to like some third graders or something, you know? Because something like he can't let us covered at all. It's like it was just about and he knew he was incredibly great, and he knew how to come down to the right? So the more we connect ourselves, whatever it is, that beautiful project with the tzitzis, and to all the things that are going on. And someone told me in these hotels, right near the what's it called, the Krish, what's it called, near Sheikh Jarrah. So they're all full of people from the south, and the women go there every day with food, and it's there's so much chesed that can be done now. Like it's out there. It's like crying out. Uh, Somebody called me last night and she asked me like, Zaka volunteers during trauma. Down, down. There's so many instructions. And if you can't physically do it, the Chazon says, you should know, tefillah is just as powerful, if not more powerful than actually doing, physical steps. You have to know a real tefillah can change olamas. You see this story about this woman. She davens for her daughter, and the next day she comes out. I mean, it's the one like it's incredible.
One in 75-year-old woman, anyway, but she, she just said, also said the same room with family. There are like 12 parents in her house. People in the last house that she was there with parents, the women in her house, quite the children. She had a knock on her dad, on her mama. And she's terrified. It's doing random in she burned her whole house.
They're in the house,
She
right?
now becomes a crime. She her your daughter is became violence to the badly. And then
It's all true.
when she was there, the mama said nothing else to think on to. Suddenly realized something said and said it.
So wait,
That's
right, right. It's incredible.
hostage that told the science and what is doing at the time.
Sure, yeah. Right, but that story really is. Right.
House told nothing on
No, she wasn't chosen. They came in and took her. Right. I don't know. For me, that story was enough. They married in that place, in the same place, and they got that one. Okay, look, it's I don't know. For me, that story with the mother was enough. You know, you take a woman who's completely not religious. She doesn't brush Scotland. She's crying her eyes out. You said a very long tefillah to get her daughter out, and then the next day she comes out. So that it really shows the power of tefillah. My Rebbe, Shlomo Brevda, he knocked this into us for years, right? And Chazal tell us it's a medrash and b'shala, right? Don't think that when you have sorrows, you should daven. Shem sends the tsaras we should daven, right? And when you daven, then you don't need the tzara anymore, right? The whole tzara is to get you to daven. That's what it says by Klal Yisrael when they were on the Yam Suf, that Hashem said, "I want the tefillos again." When they daven, then they didn't need the tzara; they were nitzal. So again, okay. So everyone's saying there's a lot to do. We spoke here about find your own special dera. We spoke about Yifud Am. We spoke about joining a heart together, all the Jewish people. Really crying, making it. People say they can't cry, but really have to be able to cry now. Baruch told me, he said, think about if it was your child, and like you would be running, giving massive amounts of money, stuck and running to get brachas and doing everything possible to get them out, and then daven, right? That's really the way we have to feel. Like they're our own children. and they are. Every Jew is our brother and sister. Uh, and it's unfortunate we've been destroyed by the world, we're destroyed by the media. And Rosh talks about, he said, when in Europe, when one person was there for weeks, it took people weeks to get over it. So you say they lived in a little shtetl, it wasn't so often in this. But our hearts have been destroyed by the media, by the world, by the numbers, by the insensitivity, by the tumor that exists. Well, we really have to go back. Now, Hashivenu Hashem Alechem and Teshuva. We have to go back to the way simple Jews once lived their life, really caring about other people, and everybody's important. Everybody's a brother and sister. It doesn't matter, if they're Sephardi, Ashkenazi, Shiloni, Mizrahi. These things are just irrelevant right now. And you see it, and it's so beautiful. And we just have to strengthen it more and more and more. Keep it going. Keep it going. And Halavaya, Kodesh Baruch Hu should bring the Gula. The Medrash says, again, there's a lot of Medrash. The Medrash says there'll be 9 months of intense Arab persecution, and then the Gula will come on Shabbos. It says it on the Pasuk, Vani, Eis Ratzon. Ani Shem Tfilah Silach Hashem Eis Ratzon. So the Eis Ratzon is Shabbos, and the Basura for the Gula will be on Shabbos. How can that be? The Gemara says it can't be. Yes, it can be. So I've been wondering for the past 30, 40 years, been going through some pretty intense times, But here now, like, it's laid out for us, It's mamish, the door is open, and if each person takes the opportunity right now to really work on these things, so Hashem will, Bezrat Hashem, have Rachmanas us. And Dai, let's say no, Bezrat Hashem, thank you.